I turned it down as soon as she looked at it. I was like, okay, down we go.
Well, it'd still be in the house.
Huh?
It'd still be in the house, though.
Yeah, but live stream picks it
He
up.
was so concerned that
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to the kickoff of our 97th academic year. For those of you who I have not yet met, my name is Tim Seidel, and I am proud to serve as Vice President for University Advancement here at EOU. It's a pleasure to be with you all today as we start a new year. I would like to first welcome members of our Board of Trustees, Foundation and Alumni Association board members who are in attendance today. So if you're here and you're on one of those boards, would you just give a wave or stand up real quick so we can recognize your service to the university? Folks down here in front. I've also been asked to add a special announcement that the bookstore will be open tomorrow until 5 p.m. for all of our visiting faculty and anyone else who needs to stop in and get those EOU items you need before the start of the school year. Next, it's my privilege to open our program today by introducing EOU's newest employees, folks who have joined our team over the past year. As you arrived today, you should have received a new Faces information sheet. We will also have slides introducing our new colleagues with photos that will be displayed as I introduce everyone by their respective units. I do want to say, I know what this is like. I have a little bit of an awkward last name. I apologize in advance if I do not do a good job on pronouncing your last name. We thought sometimes we could just start with everybody's first name, but we'll go through the last names as well. So if when I do call your name, it'd be great if you could stand or wave so other folks in the room could see you. And if I could also ask that maybe we try to hold our applause until the end, if at all possible. I know we have a lot of excitement in the room, but when we get through it, then we can give everybody a big round of applause. So let's get started. In the Division of Academic Affairs, Brylan Reed, Academic Advisor. In the Division of Athletics, Carson Brown, Assistant Football Coach. Samantha Buckley, Assistant Women's Lacrosse Coach. Am I wrong? Oh, sorry. Carson, there's Carson. There we go, sorry. Samuel Canton, Assistant Baseball Coach. Are we up? Hold on. There's Carson. There's Samantha. Willie Camp, I think we're on track now. Willie Camp, Assistant Football Coach. Samuel Canton, Assistant Baseball Coach. Douglas Heron, Assistant Men's Basketball Coach. Tyler Jackson, Assistant Baseball Coach. Alton Julian, Assistant Football Coach. Hope Mays, Sports Information Co-Director. Casey McGinnis, Assistant Athletics Trainer. Katie Humphrey, Administrative Assistant. Shane McCarroll, Interim Head Baseball Coach. And just to point this out, this is not Shane, this is not Coach, this is just a standard photo. This is what happens when you don't send your photos in to us. Blaine Shaw, Assistant Football Coach. Gabriel Schukel, Assistant Football Coach. And Faith Wayman, Sports Information Co-Director. In the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, Calvin Harris, Instructor of Anthropology. Jillian Krause, Visiting Assistant Professor of Communications. Megan McGinnis, Instructor of Anthropology. Stephanie Meyer, Assistant Professor of Music. Austin Nash, Stage Production Coordinator. And Heather Watson, Instructor of Theater. In the College of Business, Michael Fakutiju, Instructor of Economics. Sammy, I'm not even sure I want to try this, sir. Oduni Oluwasun. Oduni, thank you. instructor of agriculture, entrepreneurship, and economics. Had Casey here, Sammy. Casey Swanson. Sorry? Oh, thank you. Elaine Swanson, Tech Workforce Exploration Educator, Go STEM. Laura Howland, Mobile Maker Program Manager, Go STEM. Robin Jolin, EOU Reading Clinic Manager and Family Coordinator. Dezette Johnson, Master of Social Work, Practicum Education Director. In the College of Science, Technology, Mathematics, and Health Sciences, Swathi Weaver. Oh, sorry, we're on. There you go. Swathi Weaver, Advanced Clinical Online Educator. Felicia Cadmian Saini, Assistant Professor of Psychology. In Facility Operations, Stacy Elguzabal, Grounds Maintenance, and Lindsay Schwendeman, Custodian. In the Financial Aid Office, Destiny Akira, Assistant Program Specialist. Harvinder Saini, Administrative Program Specialist. In Information Technology, Russell Fagan, Chief Information Officer. Randy Davis, Analyst Programmer. In the Learning Center, Scott Kleeman, Information Tech Consultant. In the Library, Melody Carl, Dean of Library and Learning Innovation. In the Office of the Registrar, Robert Elliott, Analyst Programmer. In the Office of Student Affairs, Marty Munyon, Admissions Counselor. And in University Advancement, Emily Diaz-Leal, Foundation Scholarships Coordinator. Please join me in welcoming all our new colleagues to EOU. Next up, I'm pleased to share that Diego, our 2025-26 president of the Associated Students of Eastern Oregon University, is here to share a few words with us. Diego, come on up.
Hello, distinguished professors, faculty, and staff. I was told I should keep this short. So thank you, welcome back, and have a great year. Well, maybe not that short. On behalf of the student body, I extend our warmest welcomes as we begin this academic year together. It is an honor to stand up here, not only as a student body president, but as a representative for the students whose lives you impact every day. My name is Diego Vergara-Zuber, and I am the student body president for this upcoming school year. Today, we come together to connect and collaborate with one another ahead of the 2025-2026 academic year. First, some information about me. I'm a sophomore on the men's soccer team, and I am from Las Vegas, Nevada, pursuing a degree in economics. When I arrived here at Eastern last year, I knew immediately that student government was for me. ASEOU has allowed me to become the leader I have always known I can be. Being president of ASEOU will allow me to lead Eastern's student body into a new frontier. This year will bring many opportunities and challenges as higher education continues to evolve. As education continues to recover from COVID, it is my mission to make every student at Eastern feel they belong here. Students are the heart of the university and are measures of success. This past weekend, we had our ASEOU retreat and got to connect with one another. We discussed ideas and events that could be essential for the students here. As my team and I prepare for this year, I can say we are excited to make an impact on our campus. As a student, I can recognize how the heart of the university is not in the classroom or the library, but the professors and staff which lead us into the professional world. I want to thank each and every one of you for playing a role in the students' lives here. As we embark on this new year together, let us continue the journey with a shared commitment to excellence. Thank you and welcome to an exciting year ahead. Now please join me in welcoming our president to the stage, Dr. Kelly Ryan.
Welcome back to a new academic year. I'm really happy to see everyone here again, especially in one place. Today, I wanted to go over some of our challenges and our goals for the coming year. And today, I'm feeling very professor rather than present Ryan-y. I'm going to be throwing at you a lot of information, and I hope that it's digestible in the chunks that I've prepared it. My hope in doing this presentation today is that we can get on the same page about what we're facing and work together towards shared solutions. So the first part of my presentation is going to feel a little bit heavy, and I'm very happy that our mental health practitioners gave us box breathing if that's needed as I move through this with you today. The reason why it's heavy is because higher education is in a moment of uncertainty, and that uncertainty is going to be with us for at least a couple of years. So let's get this convocation going. So first up, our shared reality. We face multi-layered and interconnected challenges, some that are long-standing and others that are new. And I hope that by talking about these details with you today, that we can be in alignment about our reality, because most of our reality isn't really up for debate, and the facts are clear. And moreover, our community needs us to respond. For 15 years, confidence in higher education has been declining. About a third of Americans, 35%, now rate higher education as very important. 40% think it's fairly important, and 24% say it's not too important. This trend of questioning our value is representative of all subgroups in America. Well, I'm hoping this trend is bottoming out and that we won't go lower. There's much to do at the state and community level to build confidence in university degrees and EOU itself. The question of value is intimately related to cost and debt. This survey from Deloitte of United States citizens asked folks about whether or not they'd be interested in 4 years degrees. 22% said it would be worth it without loans. With loans, excuse me. 47% said it was worth it only if there were no loans. And 29% said it's just not worth it. Most people don't have $10,000 to $20,000 in their bank accounts. They need loans and grants and scholarships. This is a conundrum for us because we want to provide access to higher education. Recently, I was at a talk where a higher education administrator shared that college really isn't that expensive to a group of media reps. And I don't think we want to say that to our students or their parents. University degrees are an important investment in a student's future. And it's an investment that we all know pays off. But it doesn't do us any good to tell people who are scrimping and saving to invest in themselves here that it's not that expensive. I'm super proud that EOU is the most affordable 4-year public degree in the state. And as all of you intimately know, we work hard to keep it that way. But 10 grand is a lot to most folks. And I believe, more than any other value I hold in higher education, that we need to create access. That's my number one vision. And for most folks, it's just quite simply not affordable without loans. scholarships, and grants. Public investment in higher education has declined, especially when you account for inflation. The state questions our use of funds, and potential students are questioning the costs, which leaves us with a lot of problems without a ton of solutions. For us, the value of our degrees are unquestionable, and frankly, the data agrees with us. But the point is, there are a great many others who just don't think we're worth the cost, and sharing data with them hasn't been working. But we're going to keep sharing that data. This next slide shows you what current students believe is the problem with lack of trust in higher education. And if you bring this slide together with the previous two, you get a sense of the basic dialogue about higher education in our communities. Our students and students across the nation cited the biggest driver of lack of trust as affordability, value, whether it's worth it, preparing students for the workforce, ideological biases, access outcomes, and that perhaps we're disconnected from society. This first section of slide shares with you the ideas inherent to the loss of public trust, which we're now facing. Now let's take a look at our prospects for recruitment, which are of course affected by these aforementioned narratives about our confidence and trust. Oregon is a very unique state, as I've come to learn over these past few years. Oregon is not seeing enrollment growth as many other states are, and we could talk about the myriad reasons this is so for hours upon hours. We're clearly not working as a state to drive young to the university, or working adults either. And guess what? We've got demographic challenges as well. We're in a region of declining or stable numbers with very few exceptions. And as you'll note on this slide, our growth areas are in areas where there isn't a high degree of degree attainment, which means that those students in these growing areas are the least likely to attend college. It's harder to drive those students to the university, even with our very clear commitment to first-generation students. And we have a great history and team who has been working with first-gen students for quite some time. And we have that rural mission. Many rural students see greater prospects in fields that don't require a degree directly when they graduate. Arguably, some of the narratives in our community are enabling these decisions, even though it's clear that degrees and earnings, as well as job stability and health outcomes, are all intimately connected. There are opportunity gaps at the national level for rural students. Residents of rural communities attend college at rates remarkably lower than those of their urban and suburban counterparts. Just 19% of rural Americans hold a bachelor's degree or higher, compared with an average of 33% nationwide. Right after high school, 59% of rural residents go to college, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, compared to 62% of urban graduates and 67% of suburban graduates. When rural students do go to college, according to the National Student Clearinghouse, they're more likely to drop out. Breaking the downward spiral that I have taken you on here for a moment, I'm just sharing with you some facts that certainly speak to our favor, just to share that there is an incontrovertible truth that in general, earnings are higher for those with a bachelor's degree or more, especially when you compare it to those with only high school credentials. And of course, this is just one slide. We could show others about job stability. And now back to that doom spiral. Looking closer to home, in Oregon, 42% of students are enrolling in university or community college. That's 17% less than rural students nationwide. And of those, only 65% are persisting. Community college enrollment isn't leading to more four-year degrees for most students. Only 21% are going from community colleges to four-year degrees. And only 44% of those few that enroll are ultimately getting degrees. It's going to take all of us to make a dent in these numbers, isn't it? I wanted to throw one more wrench in this messy scramble of public distrust and lower rural outcomes. This is a slide from Google Educational Research on the journey they take when they're looking for universities. Student searches for college have gotten so much more complicated. It's taking longer, and the environment is so incredibly competitive. Large universities spend half of our existing budget, well over $25 million, marketing their schools. It's hard for us to compete with that. So in the area of recruitment, we've got a money problem. This new recruitment challenge, a demographic challenge, and a trust challenge. There's one more thing, though, isn't there? AI. Something else on everyone's minds. We just don't know where AI lands in job formation, but most people feel it's important for their careers. In fact, it grew just over 1 year. 59% to 67% of Americans think AI will be critical to their success in the workforce. That being said, they don't feel particularly positive about job prospects given the changes in AI, but they do know that AI will be critical to the new jobs that are formed in the coming years. We're going to have to navigate this. Putting our heads in the sand just simply won't cut it. Some of us may remember when Wikipedia emerged and the fights we had over that. We lost that battle, didn't we? And we're going to lose this one too unless we find ways to assert our value alongside AI. This next slide gives you a present glimpse of students. These are students who have bought in. They're at college. And we've asked them, well, not me. They've been asked, is college still valuable now that there's artificial intelligence? 35% say, heck yeah. 23% think it's more important, and I think that speaks to the heart of many of us of who we are, that critical thinking piece. But then 22% are unsure, and 18% now question, is college as important as it once was? These last two groups, they're really important for us to think about and recognize. On every university and college campus is a group of students who are unsure and they are questioning why they're here. We have to consistently send the message, you are here to build your career, to better the outcomes of your community and successive generations. You are here to build a lifetime of curiosity and the practice of knowing how to quench that thirst for knowledge and information. We're going to have to focus on communicating our value in our interactions with students now that we have this added burden. We're never really going to know who we're talking to. We're never going to know if it's the 22 or 18% who are questioning maybe why they're here and the others who are just rolling along. 64% of current students are saying they're worried it's going to be harder to get a job when they graduate. And that means that they're also wondering if they should stick with college. These folks are scared. And honestly, I'm worried too. I want our students to succeed. I want us to be part of the solution. So we're going to have to adapt to this new crazy era. But we're pretty smart, aren't we? In fact, we've created credentials around our delivery of information, I think. It's up to EOU and higher education to show that we have value with AI. And I urge each of you to take this challenge up. And then there's one more doom scroll that we're going to do today. Oh goodness, these funding levels. These money issues, When I came here, this beautiful state was 44th in the nation, and I thought, boy, we've reached the bottom, haven't we? Now we're 46. Let me tell you, it's not because we're not fighting. Boy, are we fighting. Our team and I have expended tremendous energy, and we're going to continue fighting this fight alongside the other Oregon public universities. Most universities in Oregon, as you've read in the news, are cutting, some very dramatically. And this is a trend that we're seeing across the nation. And this is in part, of course, related to the changes in the federal government. Pell appears now to be stabilized, but we don't truly know what's next as the budget is worked through the process, and some dollars, like, for example, graduate education loans, have declined, and they're not meeting our students' needs. In the past, in Oregon, we've had the federal government to lean on for support when the state treated us rather miserly, in my opinion. But now that's changing, and we're going to have to adapt. The National Center for Education Statistics notes that the United States has fallen to 9th among developed nations in the proportion of its 25 to 64-year-old population with any post-secondary degree. As a nation, we should be aiming to be number 1, and we're not. And I think when we put all this news in our heads and try and process the dramatic changes that higher education has undergone in the past 10 to 15 years, it's been really hard on us, hasn't it? It's been hard on our faculty and our staff and your administration. The world many of us entered when we took our first jobs in higher education just looks completely different. The post-recession era of major cuts at universities, including EOU, the pandemic, the changes of the federal government, all of this has been a burden, hasn't it? And yet, we've made it through. But it's been one heck of a tough decade, hasn't it? Experts are now predicting that disruption and uncertainty will be the new normal for higher education for the next decade because of the issues we've just discussed. I attended a webinar last week, and it was shared that this disruption is occurring across most fields in the nation, so there's not really a panacea, is there? And so as your leader, I must ask myself, how can we make our institution better in this environment where our value is questioned, our funding is low, and uncertainty is high as it's ever been? We're feeling taxed, we're tired, and for goodness sakes, we've got a lot of questions. How can we get excited when we can't see what's around the corner? And I may be crazy, but I still believe in higher education and what we do. I think higher education is worth fighting for. I think EOU is worth fighting for. And you know what? I've come to learn and know each of you is worth fighting for too. Honestly, I needed a bit of a breather this summer. I had to process and plan. I had all these great plans after my first year here. We were going to do something together, and it was going to be pretty awesome. But I had to throw that out the window. But at the same time, I haven't lost my passion, and I hope you haven't either, especially here with our incredible mission. Our current and future students, like Diego, they sure do need us. And they motivate me to stay strong, and you motivate me to keep moving. And then, as many of you know, I'm a historian, and I think big picture often. And I know that when we look back at the first 30 years of this decade, they're going to point towards the urban-rural divide as central to the politics, economy, culture, and responses this nation has made to its challenges. And I believe in our rural mission and advancing rural outcomes. This job and others I've had, boy, have they kept me up at night. They've bought me high highs and, well, really low lows. And many of us are feeling the lows, and we need to allow space for that. But we also need to make room for hope. Hope in some of our conversations to stop the doom spiral, the scarcity, and ultimately the sense of powerlessness that's going to take us over. We need to hold on to hope and trust that each step, no matter how heavy, it's bringing us closer to brighter days. And when we feel that brightness, let's make sure to share it with others. Their steps may be heavier than our own that day. Let's share our positivity, our gratitude, and let's listen. I believe in what we do and the power we have to make rural strong and to create partnerships with urban to the betterment of our region. So how can we walk this new path together this year? How can we work on shared solutions in this environment? So let's talk about that, our shared solutions. And this is formally now the less depressing part of my talk. And I'm sorry to start the new academic year like this, but our challenges are kind of heavy, and it doesn't do us all any good if we're half in alignment and half not. So we have to work on several key items. How do we prove EOU's relevance? Will we agree on shared solutions to being vital to our students in Eastern Oregon? And what's our power to make a difference in this topsy-turvy world? The first thing I learned in my life when I wanted to solve problems was, what are the areas that I have control? What are the areas that I have influence? These are the areas that we need to act around. Those areas where we don't have power, we probably shouldn't focus our energies there. We can raise our voices, but it's important to keep in mind when you're trying to solve problems, literally solve it, just talking and bemoaning doesn't get us anywhere. I think the truth is, at this moment, is we can't keep doing the exact same thing and expect different results, especially in this very different world where the past is no longer a predictor of our future. But we also can't attack problems that EOU doesn't have control or the influence to solve. And let's be honest, we don't have the capacity either. I wonder what EOU looks like when we join together and work towards solutions. I have 4 key areas I think we could focus on this year where we have influence and control. The first, and of course our always most important North Star, is student experience into success. What our students' journey looks like. Let's work on retention, persistence, and completion together. This isn't an administrator's problem, it's a university issue. Let's stay focused on enrollment maintenance and growth. And new this year, we got to work on our relevance. We've got to stay on top of this narrative because the numbers, people aren't buying it. We have to find new ways to attack this problem. And of course, financial sustainability, well, that's just every regional university's burden across the nation. We will always need to be mindful of this aspect of our university. My first year here, nearly 60 individuals sought out and identified strategies from you and others at the university to move us towards the future. And we've been working on those strategies. The truth is, these strategies, well, they're not all equally popular, but we've made a promise to our community to give these a try. Large numbers of our people have been working hard to bring these to fruition, mostly with a really good deal of success, though there have been plenty of hiccups, no lie. Just to give you a sense of some of the stuff we did last year that really killed it, I provided a list of projects. This isn't even all-inclusive, right? Most of these projects are continuing into this year as we adapt and try to do better. We created new piloted direct admission agreements with local high schools. We rolled out an awesome new early alert system that we adjusted and tinkered with your input over the year. We started early first-year scheduling to reduce students dropping out from admission to registration. We redesigned HOKE with the input of our last year's students. We redesigned Mountaineer Days to focus on engagement and belonging. We built the Mountaineer Information Center to make sure that our first-generation students could get answers to their question just as easily as folks like me. We initiated the Mountaineer Success Guides, which are rolling out even larger this year to serve more students. We had a group of folks at the university review our admission standards, and that work will continue this year through shared governance. We built a new onboarding and orientation process for our new employees. We started a new experiential learning and research outreach for faculty. We started branding more of our buildings, and we had one heck of a lot more appreciation events. And we've got new projects that we're working on this year. Our 6th most popular thing to have us work on in the Financial Sustainability Survey was developing a new academic master plan. We're working on a new comprehensive campaign design as those state and federal dollars are drying up. We're evaluating our general education, and let's be honest, we have been for a couple years. We're working on combined winter and spring registration, website redesign and our value proposition, our financial aid and tuition evaluation, all this being undertaken this year. But as I mentioned, we also need to work on some new projects, and this includes the area of relevance. Thinking about the areas where we have influence or in control, let's take a look at career-centered learning and curriculum, focusing on our PR and community engagement, our data development and warehousing, and of course, these new digital accessibility mandates. We have a new goal to stop our stop-outs and transfer-outs. And of course, we need to work on our relevance to each other every day at the university. We need to support each other in this work. Let's take a look at why we're focusing on career relevance this year. Now more than ever, we have to make a showing about how we advance careers and transform students' lives. This is best borne out by those slides on trust, obviously. But here's one that shares with you that 94% of a survey of online students shared that they are pursuing their degree for career outcomes. And of course, let's keep in mind that our online students are generally working adults fully committed to their education for this reason. Some additional data is also relevant. This is an example of a couple of surveys that's showing that the larger group of students, not just online students, more traditional students, value the importance of career development and earnings for those who attend college. It's the reason why they're here. As a note, the Big Beautiful Bill outlines that colleges and universities are not going to receive federal funding if students are not advancing their earning potential through degree programs. That means that every single degree has to prove its earnings potential. We're currently not in a worrying place about this. I don't want people to think we're failing in this regard. But it is something we need to think about more now that the state and federal government is asking more and more and more questions. In addition, and this is a really great reason, our students want it. And here's some more national data for you. A broad-based student survey about why they'd enrolled. The top 5 reasons were earning potential, better job benefits, field of interest requires a degree, they want to explore their career options, and then at 29%, a love of learning. And now I'm just beating you over the head with another slide. This one's showing the questions that university students get when they're talking with their friends and family. And this really does also relate to those slides about trust and the value of a college degree. In our low degree earnings region, you can assume that the questions that they're getting about cost, career outcomes, educational quality, and whether it's worth it is much more advanced than it is in rural and urban environments. Nearly 40% of our students come from homes without college degrees, so these questions are deep and they're wide. We need to arm our students with a voice that shares our value, our quality, and our worth in their lives. We need to make sure they don't have the opportunity to forget it. We need to give these students the same sense of mission that's in our hearts so that they will complete their degrees. So here's what I'm asking. This is an area where we have influence and, in some cases, control. We can provide more clarity about skill development at the university in our courses, in our student life, and in our interactions with students. Let's never stop reminding them why they're here, why they're investing their time and money in this degree. Let's each of us review Career Center resources and embed it in our coursework and our conversations so that students know these resources are there if they need an answer, because we can help them solve it. Let's be honest, many of our students come to college without a career decision in mind. I know I didn't. If you had told 18-year-old Kelly she would be a college president, she would have laughed at you. We need to help them. Let's develop service learning in our coursework, encourage internships and group projects. I visited Professor Nicole Howard's class, my first or second year, I can't remember, it's getting to be a blur. And what she did was she worked with a local business to have students do a history project. That kind of work is so valuable to our students. Let's build curricular connections to careers. Meet with peers in your division and unit and develop plans to better serve our students every single day in this era so they know that their education connects to this larger puzzle. The next thing I want to spend some time on is stop-outs. This slide gives you a sense in Tacoma of why some students stop out. And chief among the concerns across the nation are finances, obviously, and that sense of purpose and career. National data generally falls along these same lines, with additional information usually emerging about student engagement, work and family obligations, academic struggles, and their sense of need for support. There's so many reasons to care about our stop-outs. One of them for us is that it's causing more lack of faith and trust in higher education institutions. Students who stop out at the university have debt and cost, but they don't have a degree. They don't have a credential. They haven't received new salary benefits. They don't have career advancement. Our most recent stop-outs will only return to college if a credential can be earned quickly. They tell their stories to others in our community about how they gave a college a try. It wasn't for them. And here's what's wrong with it, by the way. We also have a transfer out issue. And listen, I don't love it when a student transfers out because they've decided to pursue a major we may not have and maybe we shouldn't invest in. And I don't love it either when some other university offers them a full ride. And I also don't like it when they leave because they get more playtime than our amazing athletics program can give them. But I can live with those particular reasons. But there's a whole host of other reasons we got to pay attention to. We have a lot of work to do to make EOU more attractive, welcoming, and fulfilling to our current students. Let's make them want to stay, even if they get a full ride. We can't wish we had more money, more programs. Let's make sure the programs we have are top-notch quality and that they're student-centered. What's really disturbing when you look at stop-out data from EOU is that our students actually aren't even going to other places. We have a particular mission here to serve rural students and to create a space for them to thrive. Rural's important. When our students stop out, they're stopping out on a dream. Only 4% of students who stop out here are going someplace else. And these aren't bad students. They have higher than a 2.0, and they have some credits to boot. Our stop-outs made an investment here and in themselves, and yet they chose to leave. What have we missed? We have to find ways to keep more of our students. We've got to keep them because it matters. It is our mission, and that is why we are here to serve. Keeping more of these stop-outs will help us tackle our demographic issues, our trust issues. It'll help us fulfill our mission and create a better reputation for our institution. It will make us more attractive and mission-oriented. So I'm asking us to work together too to stop stopouts. Talk to students about their career goals and their why. Help them understand what these goals could be. Use our early alert system and connect students to the resources that help them belong. Help them discover their why. Help them navigate work and familial issues within reason, right? I know sometimes I tried to help out in this field, and as a historian, I didn't have all the tools in my tool belt that our counseling program did. Let's help within reason and redirect them to offices who are experts at doing this kind of stuff. Create study groups, connect students to the Learning Center, create active learning, experiential learning, and group-based activities. And I know many of you are doing this. Please know I know that. Participate in Campus Vitality Program. And faculty, we would love it if you would encourage students to participate in it. Create conversations about stopping out with your students, because they're not going to tell you. They're just going to disappear. And then let's always ask how students are doing. The biggest way to build trust is to show that we care about their well-being. We're also going to work on our community engagement and our positive public relations this year. We can't be everything to everyone. We can't. We can't still have fireworks over the football field. I've heard about that. We can't hand out Halloween candy to people in the residence halls. I know we used to do cool stuff. I know. But we can't do it all. We can't participate in every single thing that each of us has an interest in. We don't have enough people to staff these events. We have excellent facilities, I know. And we are a knowledge center, and that's pretty cool. But even in these two areas, facilities and knowledge, we can't do it all. So in what ways can we leverage this aspect of ourselves to better serve our region and to make sure they know that we are relevant, we are important, we're here to serve? How can we make our story and our students' stories more well-known in our environment where there's no monoculture anymore? Every piece of information is fractured. Let's share our pride and our brand, and let's do it loudly. Share your story internally and externally. Tell people with pride that you work here. Collect data when relevant, and for goodness sake, share it with us. Make connections and connect your connections. This is an intimate rural environment where stories sell. And let's make the positive ones bigger than the negative ones. But let's not expect miracles. We cannot and will not be everything to everyone. We also have our relevance to each other to work on. As we work on our shared solution, we really need each other. We are really an interdependent place. Each of you is capable of operating independently and performing your roles amazingly all by yourselves. I know that. But together we could do more. Our relationships with each other make our work more meaningful and more enjoyable. Sometimes the easiest thing to do when things are looking bleak is to isolate yourself. But that's not a true solution. It's the quickest way to burn yourself out, is to lose your connection with community. So I'm asking you to take part in our community. Join an event, whether it be formal or informal. In this particular moment, we need each other more than ever. And I'm not about to burn the school down, don't worry. And we're not our own enemy, are we? Most of the challenges that we face that I shared with you, they're external threats. So let's be kind to each other, including those we disagree with. And yes, we are going to disagree. I know that. You know that. And we can share our concerns with each other. We're all working towards the same thing. We all want our students to be successful, but we may disagree on how we get there. It doesn't make one person evil if they don't agree with you. It doesn't make them a bad person. We may disagree on how we get there, but we should all be rowing in the same boat at the end because we're working for our students and for each other. And I have the hubris in this moment to say, we are actually the solution. I know there's a whole world out there that's telling us higher education's the problem. We don't know what we're doing. We've lost touch with reality. But you know what? We're smart. Gosh darn it, and we care. Faculty, staff, and administration at EOU working together can change these narratives. We can change these statistics. We have our mission and our values, and let's fight for them. We are Team EOU. When we work together and we recognize each other, we can and will do great things. And we're coming back strong this year. And I look forward to doing that very thing with you this year. Thank you. Let's go have a party!